Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Not here to make you happy, not here to make you sad. Your feelings are irrelevant when debates are to be had. The Belfast Bapcast, loud and clear, covering the topics of the sphere, Working overtime to bring you many stories, waking up today the same labor and Tories. A stage, it isn't our art to play, is bringing you knowledge in this way. No filter, no fuss, just tell unfiltered fact, much like the words on those Christian tracks.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Belfast Bapcast. Tonight on the Bapcast we're joined by a man who has been branded everything from a flat earther to a heretic, yet has managed to spark one of the most fascinating underground research movements of our time. Martin Liedtke, author, researcher and relentless questioner of official history, has built an audience across the world by dissecting what he calls Tartaria deception, exploring the architecture, symbols and timeless that don't seem to add up in our supposed version of human history. While mainstream academics dismiss his theories as pseudoscience, millions have tuned in to hear him question whether our past and perhaps even the shape of our world has been deliberately hidden. In a world that censors alternative voices faster than it fact checks governments, Martin has kept asking the one question that most people are afraid to: what if we've been lied to about everything? So, Martin, welcome to the Bapcast.
Oh, thanks for the invite, Mark. Good to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. So, what was the moment of discovery for you to doubt sort of mainstream history?
Ooh, that was way back. My mother had this boyfriend who was a bit of a hippie, and he had Eric van Daniken's book, The Gold of the Gods. I guess I was just started in high school, so I was 11, and he left it. When she finished him, he left the book. So I was like, oh my god, because I was a bit of a bookworm even then. It was my escapism from the world, was escaping into books. And that started me, Eric van Daniken, actually. But I went down the aliens avenue of research, trying to find out what this place was. And my biggest interest, really, above all of the rest, shape of the earth, or lying about history, was what the true nature of consciousness was, what this place is that we're living in, and how we interact with it. Because when I was young, I noticed that I could, what I thought was do magic, interact with reality in a way that other people couldn't, and see things that everyone else was missing. And that was my talent, was being able to see the detail, that everyone else in the world seems to miss. So I'm a decoder. So that's what I did, and that's what I do. But so I started listening to the conspiracy stuff way early on, with Art Bell, Coast to Coast, and then George Norrie. I was a NASA fanboy. I used to pride myself on what I knew about space things.
Shame.
Yeah. And an avid fan of history, official history. My favorite thing was visiting World War I battle sites. I used to live in a pretty grim world of World War I trenches and battle lines in my mind, which wasn't a healthy place to play. But it was the mood I was in. It was the mood of the 90s. It was somber.
It's very captivating history, though, isn't it? I mean, it was the subject I was most captivated by in school, because although you're aware you're like myself and yourself, question things from a very young age. You're sort of aware you're being fed a narrative, but it's the storytelling of it all, and it's trying to place yourself in that time and imagine the situations unfold. And I was fascinated by the Kennedy assassination.
That's a good one.
Just a lot of things throughout history, fascinating. And then obviously whenever you get older and do actual research and actually educate yourself, you understand there's many more layers that need to be peeled back,
No, I was
And
under no illusions as a child because my mother was. I don't know how she was so awake, but she was. So anytime the news came on, she'd go, "Oh, what a load of bullshit! Propaganda! That is propaganda." I'd be like, "Yeah, okay." And when the moon landings happened and that, she was like, "That ain't happening. That's fake." I was like, "No, it ain't." She said, "That's fake. No one's going up there." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And now, like these days, I'm like, "Okay, maybe she
yeah,
was."
and it's amazing as well how like lowbrow the production was that they were able to pass off in that time as the actual
Well,
moon
yeah.
landing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it was
And
worse than that. We seen it second recording because they took the recording, the world scene, off of a television screen. So they recorded a television screen, not even the live one, of what was supposed to be a non-delayed live video recording from the surface of the moon in 1969. It's like, yeah, okay.
And the thing that I always sort of as a joke say whenever somebody goes, do you believe they went to the moon? I would go, well, the one thing I always question is, Nixon was able to make a phone call to the moon, and I still can't get reception in the forest in 2025. So
Yeah, exactly.
come on, let's
And
be
there's
real.
always this guy hanging around in space, like taking amazing photographs of all of the action while it's taking off and everything. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
how is it?
Well, how perfectly placed they were. So you said before that once you spot one lie, the whole web starts to sort of unravel a bit. And
Yeah, yeah.
what
So,
what was the first insight into Tartaria or mud floods or?
okay. Yeah. So I was lucky enough to travel around a lot when I was young and in my later years in the Merchant Navy. But concentrating on my own city, Cardiff, which is almost identical to Belfast. It really is. The way that even where the docks are situated, the mountains all the way around. It even looks like Cardiff. The council estates look like where I live. It's just the same. It looks the same. And I've
Yeah, they
been there.
were built on the same plans anyway. It's
Well, this is it. So what I noticed was with my city was, and other cities, where all the buildings were marked up as built 1880s, restored 1880s, 1890. I was like, okay, then. So everything was built in the late Victorian era. Where's all the older stuff except for the Gothic churches or the ruins, which are attributed to the disillusionment of the abbeys by Henry VIII? So I'm like, where's the old world? There must have been 1 trillion people that have gone before us. So where's all their shit then? So that's what started me off was the lack of buildings from the old days and everything turning up in the late 1800s. That's what
and
started.
whenever you obviously asked that question, I'm sure then one of the first natural pillars that you came to were the world fairs.
No, that came early on. Yeah, I don't know if I was one of the first to talk about it. I don't know, but yeah. So I started to look at these World's Fairs, maybe 2017, something like that, and I was
Yeah.
thinking, hang on a minute. So what? We had a world as beautiful and as amazing as this, and then they've knocked all of it down. And then when I dug into it, I finding out that these things were built in like less than a year, used for only 8 months, sometimes only a year, and then they demolished the whole lot, apparently. Okay,
Yeah.
saying that they were made of temporary building products, but that can't be true because some of these buildings still exist in a modern day, especially in Paris. Got a few. The Eiffel Tower, for one, that was part of the expositions. Buildings in Chicago that survived fire, and yeah, there's a few, still bits of it still around. But the narrative, for this world that looks like the most fantastic buildings you've ever seen in your life, all, beautiful geometry going into them. And it's not just the exteriors. If you look into the interiors, there ain't even an inch
Yeah,
that
it's
hasn't been done.
magnificent.
Magnificent isn't a word. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just mind blowing. Sacred
and it's
geometry
like
in
everything
everything.
else we've progressed, but in architecture we've regressed to such a level it's almost like back to Stone Age in comparison to these buildings. It's like we've lost, and these are supposedly built by people who were in horse and cart.
horse and carty, yeah, delivering all that big stone and these big windows over cobbles. All the glass gets there, no problem whatsoever. The whole way there.
And they're sitting perfectly in these buildings are sitting perfectly, yet surrounded by no infrastructure and no.
So what you find, yeah, in all British cities, Belfast included, Nottingham, Sheffield, Birmingham, Manchester, all of them, Cardiff, have all got, like, in the town centres, layers below the street level. You ever go into a toilet? It's like the Cabin Club in Liverpool or something. It's 2 layers below the street level. And then what I found was, like, so many places that I'd been that had the bottom story of the house, yeah, below the street. So you had to look up and you seen people's feet walking past like this. And I was like, what's going on? Why would they do this in a damp, nasty environment such as Britain? Why would they even think like that? To put this lower level. And then the idea came that sometime in the recent past, yeah, the world ended, as in not like the apocalypse, because that means just the awakening, yeah, but more in the line with what you would regard as a depopulation or a purging of the nations, where mass amounts of people are culled, and then they start a entire new batch of people, okay, which is where the orphan train narrative comes into it, and delivered children.
It's such a rabbit hole, isn't it? Like, I thought I was just looking into old buildings, and then, like you just mentioned, orphan trains and incubator babies and Cabbage Patch Kids, and it's just so many layers to the web. It's
this conversation, this narrative is just so multi-layered. It is unbelievable. It goes into the world of free energy, antiquitech, that the whole of the world, what they might call Victoriana, that still exists, is an earlier civilization that has literally been wiped out of the face of the earth. Any record of its existence, but it keeps springing up in old narratives and old maps. Tartaria, which was bigger than the British Empire territorially on the old maps, is bigger than which is supposed to be the biggest empire the world has ever seen, apparently. But forget Grand Tartary. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Can we give some do you want to share some examples just off what we're talking about?
I'll start here of how easy it is to undo official history. Let me just, excuse me. Cancel that a second. Let me just bring up my pictures. Now, official history, it couldn't be easier to pick apart. I've done it so many times, it's hard to even imagine. So just give me a second. Oh dear. Yeah, so the file I had loaded has not come up, but it'll only be a second. So are we actually live here at the moment, Mark? Or
no, we're recording. I'll not edit any of it anyway, though. I just do it as one long shot. So
that's what I do anyway. So that's awesome. Let me just show you. Okay, we'll start here. Okay, can you share that picture there, please? By clicking it. Awesome. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So I should be able to. Is it going forward through the images?
So let me just see.
No, it's not, is it?
No.
No, because I'd have to load one at a time, and that's going to just take forever doing it.
Let me just see if there's anything.
Let me just take that down a second. I got another way of doing it. Excuse me. Let me just take that off. Okay. So yeah, I got my pictures here. That's all I need to do is bring up my pictures, and then share screen. It's got a No. Why is it doing that to me, as you reckon? It's also strange compared to what it used to be. It used to be able to just put up an image file, yeah, and then just share it, no problem. But it's not even there. There it is. Okay. Okay, can you see that now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No problems. Good. Okay, so what we got here is what is a reset of an entire city, and I've gone into this extensively. That all American cities.
All that we can see at the minute is the stream. So
Excuse
wrong
me.
tab open or something. If you get the
Oh,
wrong
you can
tab,
see is the stream.
yeah. If you get the wrong tab open or something.
Wow. I hit the picture. Yeah, all right. Excuse me. Sorry about that. It's not giving me the option to hit pictures. I don't know why. Okay, Chrome, entire screen. So am I not? You're not seeing a picture now, are you?
Now, yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. So there's fire in the background, people, wall. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what we find is that every single American major city that you can think of, sometime in the 1800s or late 1800s and early 1900s, gets wiped off the face of the earth, like there's been like some sort of massive war. But what they do is they lie about the reasons. Now, this is supposed to be San Francisco's earthquake. Okay, the famous earthquake and firestorm of April 1906. But what you see is just this screen of smoke in the background. But what you see is all of the city actually standing there, like no earthquake has actually happened. Yeah, they make movies to tell you that there was an earthquake in San Francisco. And here is the city on fire, but no actual earthquake. So they've lied about that. So the city was actually eradicated by fire. Okay, and here is the photographic evidence of it. It's all intact. So there's a big whopping great lie right there. Let's see what AI says about that lot. Interestingly as well, if you keep an eye on this building here, it's called the call center. It's on Market Street in San Francisco, and it was caught alight from the roof first, not at the bottom. So whatever happened, yeah, the heat started from above.
Direct energy weapon, almost.
Excuse me.
Direct energy weapon, maybe.
Well, this is where I'm actually going. You can see, right? There's the city's in situ, right? So the fact that there's no earthquake is quite important, I think. So what we're going to talk about here now is dust, and this is what I mean. This is a picture of North Africa. Okay, 500 years ago. You can see Italy here, and you can see the Mediterranean Sea here, Greek islands here. Okay, so this is the coast of North Africa, part of it, Libya, etc. And you can see the Muslim flags there. But what it is not a desert. In any old maps, no snow exists on any old maps. And what you find is the Sahara Desert doesn't exist on any old maps. And there's giant mountain ranges going through it. One is called Kong Mountain Range that is mapped on old maps. That doesn't even exist in the modern day, but it's on countless old maps. So this one shows North Africa full of these buildings, which are just beautiful sort of fairy tale castles, look a little bit like Disneyland castles, if you like, all over North Africa, where there is supposed to be just burning hot desert. Okay. You can see Morocco here, exactly the same. Temples or beautiful structures, the same sort of structures that are all in the rest of Europe. So it's just like one civilization. And this is a butterfly map looking down at Earth in an azimuthal equidistant form. This is like supposed to be the North Pole.
Yeah.
But what you don't see is any ice. It's all green. Yeah, everything is green. And also in the other extremities, the Antarctica extremities, you will see that everything is green and lush. So I'm thinking that there was some sort of, dramatic climate change since these maps were produced. They tell us this one is early 1500s. So since then, there's been a complete change in all of the maps. So some people
atmospheric
say
as well. I would imagine because like the old giant skeletons, etc. They find for those human-like beings to exist, they would require more oxygen, etc.
Yep.
So it would require a different atmosphere altogether.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, more carbon dioxide, things are just going to grow bigger, and but they, some say bigger trees, and the post vapor canopy periods, if you like, of different technologies, implosion technologies, over explosion technologies, free energy, electricity. But you can see, interestingly, on this map, North America is connected by this landmass here to Europe. Like you could just walk across, and you can see that South America down the bottom here is connected to a very green, what is supposed to be an Antarctica, and no deserts exist anywhere. And remember, this area here, which was once called the Fertile Crescent, when it isn't anymore because it's all dust and rubble and little stones and bricks. Place is a mess. All of it is a mess. The Middle East, it looks like, it's just been obliterated. So that's another azimuthal equidistant. That's supposed to be the bottom projection of what the landmass underneath us looks like, apparently, or what they call Antarctica. Okay. So I concentrate on a technology called Antiquitech, which is a vibrational technology of sound and resonance, which is what you're going to find in churches. Okay. So I think that after a reset, the survivors, if you like, or the people that were in bunkers or underground, come back up, and then they literally repurpose these buildings and repurpose these pipe organs. But these were tuned at specific frequencies which had healing qualities, and like 5432, for example, or some of the notes were removed in the 1700s, though.
Yeah, there was an actual edict made to change the hertz of what music was made in, so it wouldn't resonate.
Yep, they lowered it
from 422 hertz, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I got all my music, like back catalogs, redone in 432.
And that looks like a star foot.
It does, and that's a reason why we know star forts are geometric and fractal geometry technology, which is based on like the rose windows is the same sort of technology, this resonant technology, etheric technology, if you like. So yeah, it interacts with the pipe organs that are giving off these deep harmonic resonance, and these rose windows got specific properties in them. The lead, for one thing. Cobalt and different substances that are put into the stained glass. But most of these stained glass windows in Europe have been replaced in the late 1800s. I don't think there are too many left, the original ones. And also they tell the real story of what happened in this place on some of the old windows. You can go into old windows, old churches in Wales, like one in St Fagans, and they got like original hundreds-year-old stained glass windows. And they're telling
you were saying about the First World War. Do you reckon the two world wars were to get rid of a lot of these old world buildings? And
100%. The bombing campaigns of World War II, Bomber Harris's bombing campaigns, Dresden was one of the most beautiful architectural pieces in the world. And you know what happened there? Warsaw, beautiful architectural masterpiece. And all of
Irving's book on the bombing of Dresden, phenomenal. I had his grandson on the podcast.
Right. Yeah.
You were saying about the star forts and the resonance, and then the metals within the stained glass windows, and then they've been replaced in the late 1800s.
Yeah, the technology that was with these and with the organs as well has been dumbed down, and the Antiquitech itself has all been dumbed down with the dumbing down of consciousness, and this stuff helps people remember these places. They help you, sort of unlock and remember what this place is there, because the memory is held in the crystalline structure of the stonework and the special geometry that goes into these masterpieces, apparently built by monks with chisels on horse and carty. All of these amazing masterpieces.
Wow!
Yeah. So can you imagine sitting there and the vibration? So anything with org in it, like organ, is good for your organs. or orgasm or anything org, it's actually good for. Because, you know, vibration, you know, if you put a didgeridoo, I had a didgeridoo played into my chest only just this summer gone. And oh my God, I felt it in my toes. It changed the structure of my body, of my water, which is what this technology is here of cymatics, which you can see in the church window. So I'm guessing a lot of you have seen somatic experiments, literally the way to see sound and frequency. You know, you can do iron filings on a steel plate or sand on a plate and then put the frequency through it. And you can get the frequency of 432, like you said, 555, or whatever frequency it is. But what we do see is these frequencies are also exhibited in Gothic church windows, showing, without a shadow of a doubt, that they were working on cymatic sciences. Now, you can imagine if you're made of water, mostly water and carbon chase, right? So you imagine that frequency realigning your chi and your energies, to a beautiful frequency. You're gonna feel fantastic. You're gonna be healed. Yeah, you're not even gonna get any illnesses and stuff.
Do you think Nikola Tesla was the bridge from the old world to the new world with his technologies, or was he like a psyop?
Yeah, exactly. Psyop. Yeah, all of it is. It's all narratives. Everything online and anything that we've been told, including all of the books. And I'm an author, and I'm going to say this: books are brainwashing. Books are mind control. I've literally read books, and it's just fucked my head up. I've been like literally gone for years on a book that I've read.
I had a friend exactly like that who would become the book.
Exactly. So I think that's what's going on there. And they're using spells in the English language. They're using neuro-linguistic technologies. They're using syntax, all in novels, all in books, to get right deep down there into the consciousness using official narratives in books.
Well, they tell you they're spelling. You're spelling your words, and like they let you know within it's informed consent.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So no, I don't think Tesla's real. I think that the free energy is real. I think they've had it all along. I think that everything since was just job for the boys and just to make it look like they're not using free energy. But I think they have definitely got it. And the whole narrative of, Westinghouse, Morgan, Chase, and Edison and Tesla, it just sounds like a movie. It sounds like fucking raffles. And the evidence for Tesla, it's like there should be some video of the most intelligent man on earth. There should be some evidence on film, but what you see is him young, looking like Frankenstein, like Dracula. I mean,
when he's young, old and like disheveled.
Yeah, and then he looks like Skeletor at 90. Yeah,
and
it's like what about the bit
Trump's uncle gets all his papers from.
And that fact as well. Yeah,
John Trump or whatever his name was.
Yeah, exactly that, and that fact. So
it's all connected, like, isn't it?
Well, it's all connected because it's all in the same narrative. They're just carrying it out when everyone just, they can make anybody believe anything. It's like Nixon said, if it's not on television, they'll never believe it. So it's easy to, grab the minds. I've been in social media 10 years and I've been down every rabbit hole you can possibly imagine. Okay. I've been down them all. I've seen them all. There's none of them you could tell me about that were new to me. And what I've learned at the end of all of these rabbit holes is to look at the information, because know thine enemy, okay? But don't connect my energy to it. Cut it off. Be aware, because I found that it was just drawing my energy, and I was just spending too much time fixating on.
I had to do like a complete detox from that sort of for a couple of years, because the energy is just so dark. And I think it's intentionally dark because it's
intentional.
Like the main sort of gatekeepers are like the likes of Alex Jones or Russell Brand, who are clearly, controlled opposition. Clearly, they're to create a certain feeling around things, give you a certain amount of information, and only take you so far. And I've got a lot more understanding on my own than I have watching these plebs. Yeah.
Well, what you get with Russell Brand is fear. So it's like, warning, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, well, none of it ever fucking happens, ever. Okay, the birds are still tweeting, the oil goes on. But what I find is what's handy for them is because he, just using Russell Brand as an example, and you could use the American examples, he's a mouthpiece for them. So
yes,
it's
of course,
interesting.
of course.
Yeah. So it's interesting to hear which way they're going or what they're playing. You know, I can discern. I know it's all bollocks. So I'm not taking any.
Yeah,
of it on
he's
board.
sort
like
of
you.
like given the narrative from like, oh, they're the you know, like it's like people believing that Trump is there for the common man. I mean, come on, guys. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
but I
just like,
thought everyone had sort of like in the truther community had understood that voting don't mean shit. And now
no,
it's
apparently not.
like, you know, they're all the same club, all of them in the same country. So I thought COVID would have proved that all of them are in it together. Yeah, everyone creates this, they're all separate entities and they're all at war with one another. It's like people got like 1 minute memories in this place, I've noticed. It's a really strange phenomena, especially when it comes to the things that happened in the last 5 years. But I'm in your camp, Mark, I'm careful what I look at, and I do only do my own research. But as for connecting my energy to, like, you know, these dark subjects, like, it's just not. I got to be careful. I'm watching for my soul. I'm being gentle on my soul, man.
Of course.
Yeah, man. So I'm trying to do
Back
that.
to point though. Keep going off on tangents here. That was my
Right
fault.
then, back to the Bible. Yeah, whether or not whoever wrote it or AI or whatever, it's got clues about reality. And the one here is the walls of Jericho. And what you can see is they got some sort of what I think is an electromagnetic technology of some sort, the Ark of the Covenant, which is arc, like electrical arc. So they sort of tell you. And they all paced around the city walls, blowing trumpets and banging drums. Well, if you bang drums at a high enough frequency, they can cause earthquakes. This was used on in the Iberian Peninsula as a war tactic to cause rockfalls, drum beating. And also the trumpet would cause a vibrational resonance, which would deaggregate stones so that stones and rocks would fall apart and end up like little bricklets. And it is a type of technology. Sound can be devastating. So this technology that I'm talking about of organs, and you can see this here, the fasces, which was probably my biggest decode, which was the most important weapon in reality, what they call the Roman fasces, an emblem that was adopted by the fascists. Mussolini, for example, and even Napoleon had fasces as standards. You'll see this connected with legal system, the military, and anything to do with architecture. You're going to see it absolutely everywhere. So over the Oval Office door is a giant fasces. It's a symbol for power. But I think it's an electromagnetic technology along the lines of, like you mentioned earlier, direct energy weapons, zappers, and sort of lightsabers over antiquated technologies they talk about. It's called the Medusa effect. You can see the Medusa in Greek mythology. They say that you can look at the Medusa, she's got serpents coming out of her hair, but you can look at the reflection of her in your shield, okay? And then you can take her out. This is a reference to what I think that was going on in the past. I think that they had, because of that different atmosphere that you mentioned, Mark, I think they had different technologies, but definitely electromagnetic technologies would have worked in that different post reset atmosphere. And like I mentioned, these implosion technologies. This is Congress. You can see that this symbol is all powerful. You can see two opposing, meaning they're a mirror image of one another. And there's a reason for this. And there's a reason for why this reef is entwining as well. It's if you basically surround these metal rods, okay, with this reed of iron, and in this case, metal bands as well, it creates a charge, okay, electricity, which what we think is happening, actually radiation. And these exist, fasces exist, yeah, literally. If you've got a microwave oven, you have a fasces, because the magnetron that operates your fasces, your heats your food, is a fasces. Okay, it literally emanates radiation.
Directs the energy, basically.
Yeah. Basically, and it goes right back. You can see here. Oh, that's not very clear, but it says that in the First World War, over Paris, that the French used electrical fasces to shoot down zeppelins, air balloons. You can see Mussolini here with two Abyssinian lectors, the people carrying the symbolic, which was more than a symbol in the past, was an actual weapon that could literally disintegrate cities. And what we think is the transport of Tartaria was 100% air balloons. They were in the air really early on, and they were delivering passengers before we can prove that they were using pneumatic trains, before they were using steam trains and electric trains. They were using electric cars and steam power cars even before they went to fossil fuels, even though they had. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you could have had a train just drop you off right outside your house, and everyone was living in Advent luxury, really, and the textures of their houses and the materials and everything was fantastic. And I believe that people were living a lot longer. They had no toilets in Tartaria, which is a bit of a quandary. You know, these big, elaborate townhouses, none of them had any toilets. They say 1,700 rooms, one toilet for the king. It's just ridiculous. You can see examples of weather manipulation. Now, that's not even a conspiracy anymore. That's a prospiracy, because they actually admit now that they've been
geoengineering.
Yep. So yeah, Grand Vacuum. You can see that there was tube companies. You could go from. They were delivering like mail from New York to Chicago via vacuum tubes, and they decided to put people in them. This was all before the trains that we have today. So everything seems to be going backwards with their technologies, I've noticed. Vacuum tubes, which were just sucking people along quickly too. So balloons, I've got evidence of up to 8,500 people traveling on one balloon. So people were traveling like extensively in balloons. I've got evidence in 1750s of them crossing the Atlantic and going to Boston in air balloons. So I think that these giant exhibit halls that were in the great expositions, these great glass domed structures, again, I think that they were already there. Again, I think that these buildings are repurposed, and I think that their original purpose was giant balloon hangars. And remember, in the past, there was probable giants in this place, and a lot of this architecture.
The size of the doors in some of the buildings alone would suggest.
Exactly. I just come back from Spain. You should see size. When I was in the Czech Republic, right, Mac, they had door handles up by there. I had to literally reach up to open the door. I was like, what's the point? And a massive door, like.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a structural faux pas, if you're engineering it.
Oh, they just left it from when the giants lived alongside us. So yeah, these are the expositions you mentioned earlier. This is the Gothenburg exposition in Sweden, and they're showing air balloons. But these places, they were like indoctrination centers, if you like, where you go in and you see what the world is. They explain what the world is to you in all the different countries, sort of to indoctrinate all the people that go through there. Really, a bit like school. So aerostat technology. This is a type of free energy where you will put a balloon aloft, and then it just grabs the electrostatic charge that is passing through the ether, and then they put them down to these little power stations, down to a hub, which drives a generator, and all of this aerostat produces free electricity. So I think that they were doing along them lines in the past, and it's all bullshit what they've been doing since like 1900. I think that's when it was all phased out. The whole of literature just dramatically changes at 1900. The world of like this, forget about the 16th century, but the 17th century, things get really trippy. You've got like London burning out, apparently. Then the trippy 18th century. It's just like everyone's wearing wigs. Everyone's got white on their skin. Yeah. Do you know why that is?
Yeah.
Radiation. That's what that is. Post-reset. All of the symptoms you ever see, they say it's syphilis. That's the official narrative of why they wear wigs. So the whole upper class.
Oh yeah, holding their heads. Yeah.
Yeah, and the white as well is like they just can't
So
go.
you were saying like those world fairs were like indoctrination centers. That would be because like the whole of society has been reset with these orphan trains, and then they need to feed them a narrative, and then they feed it to their children, and then that's how the history is born.
Yeah, exactly that. And this is how the world has always been. We had cavemen. Yeah, these are cavemen. This is how we used to have. And then the evolution, was being pushed around 1900. They weren't even going to go with evolutionary theory. That just got pushed, and this place helped it as well. But you had, remember, a lot of these places had the incubator baby clinics as well. So you could literally purchase a child at an exposition. I think the actor played, not Fraser. What was it? Anyway, an American sitcom program. His father was one of these babies. Yeah. Oh, Seinfeld. Yeah.
And I think obviously, like clearly, these kids, well, from the information you can find, were obviously cloned or something. So the reset's not only been, it's been a genetic reset.
I think that it was total. I think. It was everywhere in the world, and then the replaced batches, the replaced population could have well been cloned, and this is the reason why I think this. If you go like, everyone's got their own uniform for their own country. The Mexicans, 1800s, they got these white things on with like the sombrero. We've all seen the movies. They still wear them some of them in the modern. Yeah. So then you got the Western folk, the Americans and the Europeans, and the British. They're wearing top hats. Everyone's in what they call mourning dress. Everyone's saying morning to one another.
This is to create division amongst the nations, isn't it? Let's be honest.
So the Turks
and divisions, and it's like, the Mexicans are so different to us. They wear the big hats, and you're told all these things. It's like these narratives you're fed as a kid as well about, eat your dinner. There's kids starving in Africa.
They got big cities. It's crazy. It's what I believed as well. Like same things with like Mexico. You grow up with like spaghetti westerns. You think that it's all like that. You don't think that they got these big massive cities and like Mexico City or what have you. Yeah. And it's the same, like they got the Chinese, haven't they, with the coolie hats? This is how you picture China in your mind. This is the education.
But that's for a reason, and I think stereotypes exist for a reason, and I think you may have cracked the reason why those world fairs at that time around the early 1900s and the 1800s was, when every major city had a large fire or a large catastrophe, and there seemed to be a big reset of sorts, and what better time to re-educate?
That's exactly it. And this is just like, another example of one of these destroyed cities. But you can see it's Greco-Romano. It looks like the Asian world. And this is Richmond, Virginia, in the 1860s during the American Civil War. And they're saying that this devastation is caused by these little round steel balls, cannonballs, they tell us. Okay, that caused this. But you notice how they conveniently missed. Every building is like devastated, and they got really low windows. But this thing, we couldn't hit that. We missed that conveniently.
Capitol building, no doubt.
Yeah, well, it's one of theirs, isn't it? And when they're restructuring, they keep. What you notice is like with the bombing campaign of, say, Cologne, for example. Everything in the city is destroyed, but they managed to completely miss Cologne Cathedral. Everything around it is gone. It's just like, wow, they really can do precision bombing. It's where the Pathfinders come in handy. But what you see is a Jesuit and a Masonic fingerprint through all of these disasters. You can see these people, top hatters, as you know.
Hidden hand there as well.
Exactly, which is a Masonic trait, isn't it? So you see this in, there's official photographs they let go out into the public. Yeah, I grabbed them all. Most of them, a lot of them have disappeared off the internet. Okay, I use my own resource, like I said. But most of the official pictures will always give you some sort of Masonic coding in them. And if you know how to look, you will see them. So yeah, I could give you an example of the American cities, but I'm guessing that would bore your followers. But I just nipped through a few of them. New York, 1830. New York, 1845. Up in flames. This one was attributed to being started by and the Chicago fire of 1871 by something in the air that people put forward there was a UFO, but it could have quite easily been a balloon, which is what I think was going on. Nantucket Island, St. Louis, and also the Great Expositions as well, all destroyed, just look at these. This is Charleston after the bombings of the American Civil War. You can see this lower window,
Yeah,
a lot of the
underground.
yeah, and you can see all this older architecture. It's like America's supposed to be like, the new world, new world, but it's not. It's the old world. And I think that a lot of these cities in America, they were there already, and they just dug them out of the mud, and then back in with a new batch. It's been going on all along.
I think that's the same the world over, and also.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research to suggest that lakes are there to hide, and old antiquity buildings as well.
100%.
They've just flooded a certain.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. If you look at the example of Lake Mead, for example, it drowned a city called St. Thomas, and sometimes when the lake's low, you can see the church spire stick up through the lake. It's the entire city, St. Thomas, that they just drowned under Lake Mead. So how many, they did it in, in Egypt as well with Akkad, didn't they? They put that Aswan Dam down and moved an entire, architectural piece, apparently. So
That's insane.
Yeah, so like the cities that have got like tram systems and massive skyscrapers and everything are attributed to being caused by Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicking over an oil lamp, and then the entire city goes up. This is Baltimore. So that's my point, okay, guys, with this narrative, is I think this is an electromagnetic technology. I think it happens from above, from balloons. They're definitely using balloons earlier than the Montpellier brothers. And the cities of America, are Tartarian by nature. This looks like Bucharest. This could be Prague, but it's not. It's Baltimore in North America on the East Coast. And these are beautiful Tartarian buildings, but everything in front of it is attributed to being burnt by fire. So I'm no fire expert, but I just can't imagine how it turns giant granite stone buildings like this into tiny little bricklets.
You don't remember September the 11th?
Oh, yeah.
WTC7?
Yeah, I've seen computers cut in half completely. I can't even imagine how that even happened. Boston.
Scary.
Yeah, so I could just show you. But if you look at the size of the architecture here, that kid is sitting on there, and this.
That's bad.
It's like smashed. And the heat is so much that it's bubbled and popped. Massive, architectural stone pieces.
It's like Hawaii recently as well.
Yeah, man, of course.
Maui.
Yeah, I did a hangout with like an interview with a lady who actually lived there. But the information that she gave me, and she added in for like a local police officer and stuff, was like, I don't think I could put that up on my channel. Look at that. Look at that for synchronicity, Mac. Next image.
Wow.
Yeah, you just said that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Sync. So yeah, belfries. You're going to see these pieces all over antiquity. So they're a tower. They're on top of all buildings, and there's no bell in them. They're called belfry. And the reason is we think these were docking stations for the old Tartarian balloon system that would come in, couple up. And there's endless evidence that they were doing this in the early 19th century with the Graf Spree coming across the Atlantic and coupling up on top of the Empire State Building, for example. And it was happening in Seattle. It was happening all over the world, actually. And in the Zeppelins of World War I, one of them got shot down here over the Wirral, think so. This is the Mersey River, and some of them I got evidence for were the scourge of society in World War One. They don't tell you anything about this in school, that Zeppelins were actually coming down with like death rays and causing fires on cities in the First World War, getting rid of all that old architecture. Germany's long arm feared by all of England, the size of this. And they are coincidentally exactly like fasces looking as well. So the whole Hindenburg narrative, another psyop, oh, the humanity, is nothing more than just a psyop to get rid of the idea of safe balloon travel in favour of jet planes, which is the way it went.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Even jet plane technologies digressed from Concorde. You know what I mean?
Bullshit. I was on a plane 2 days ago, come back, and I watched the fuel plane come up. The fuel loader come up, and it pumped in a tank like this big into a skinny little wing like this big. I was like, they must have just put a few drops in it, because they ain't been fueling it. I don't think that. I think they're using like implosion technologies. Once it's up there, it's just spinning and it just drives forward. It's just, anyway, that's what I think. I think the jet fuel thing, I definitely think is definitely happening. I think it's a hoax. Anyway, yeah, Zeppelins bring death and destruction in the heart of London. That's another narrative they don't tell you about, is these things dropping these higher intensity beams causing fires. Here in Calais, 1915, during the First World War, the Hotel de Ville, or the town hall, got taken out by a beam of light that came out of a Zeppelin. And there's an example of what is going on in the modern day, which is Paradise in California, recently Maui, and LA, as you know, that area of LA. So there we were in the past. We were in a glittering, beautiful, harmonic civilization. And this was the first arrivals that came here. So wherever these people, you know, the orphan children, if you like, arrived from, I don't think they could do the sun. This is the ordinary day out in the 1800s to the beach. And what you don't do is expose any of your skin to the boiling hot sun. Nobody can do the sun. The people that arrived, Caucasian people, none of them can go in baking hot sun. They literally shrivel the fuck up. So they cover with dresses. Now, you could argue I was about decency laws, but that's not the case at all. Do you think like women in Spain 500 years ago were fully clothed walking up and down the beach? I don't think so. They're probably wearing absolutely nothing like they do in the modern day. So there they are on their surreys, out on the beach, completely covered. And you'll see this for every single country at this period. Nobody goes in the sun. And every single person in antiquity, in the late Victorian period, right the way up to halfway through the last century, wear hats. Everybody wears hats. You would not see any gentleman without a hat. Another psyop, I think, is I think they're from a place that is not of this, you know, when they came to this place, they have never seen the ocean before, and the sun, they just don't know what it is, you know. So it could suggest that they came from underground facilities. But this cloning narrative, I can see similarities, because when I was in Spain the last month, and we got back day before yesterday, all of the Spanish women are really, really beautiful, but they could all be sisters. I was like, you just thought you all one big fucking family or what? So similar, you know? So yeah, not to digress too much, this is the underground cable that they say is laid on the bed and over the, you know, the mountain ranges that are under the Atlantic Ocean, all the way to America, which connected us to America the first time. But if you look at it on the side, it is exactly a fasces. It's got all of the round bits on the outside, and then small round bits. It could be a church window if you look at it straight down. This communication technology, just like fiber optic technology, and just like all the technologies, was originally fasces type technologies. Here it is, looking down on an undersea cable. Okay, it is exactly like a church window, proving that is the same technology. Past vibration. Here's the earliest photo of Boston before it was destroyed in the Boston fire, and you can see the city's been there quite some time. It's massive, it's established. What's taking the photograph? Well, obviously, it's a hot air balloon, and that is in the 1850s. So I'll just stop sharing for a minute, shall I? I can bring some more up for you if you like shortly. Let me just get that off. Oh,
I think we'll maybe have to do a part 2, you know.
well, you're quite welcome to. I've got a lot to actually share with you. I got stacks.
Yeah,
to
because
share.
we've already got an hour in here, so
Yeah,
I think we could section this one off as sort of, you know, just as a sort of gentle walk in, and then really blow people's minds in the second one. So, I mean, really go into the likes of the orphan trains and the Cabbage Patch Kids and the incubator babies and stuff like that was the stuff that really just
blow your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very dark rabbit hole to go down. That goes back to what I said earlier about having the kind of detox from, you know, sort of the conspiracy type thinking, because it can be so grim to just constantly realize that everything's a lie and everything, you know.
Yeah, but like I said, you know, with the disconnection of it, all it is just like the fear is of what exactly? Of dying. Well, probably we're not going to be doing that. So it's what, the fear of the whole realm dying? Well, if you're not here to be here to witness it, well, what the fuck is there to worry about? So that's the way I'm thinking about it. You know, when they say all of these, like, you know, just from a personal perspective, I've changed my mind about a lot of things. I was in the saving humanity business. Now I couldn't give two shits after the last 5 years. I'm thinking that, you know, just do your own, people should just do their own growth and their own spiritual growth in this place, their own way. And I've had to like literally disconnect so much, you know, in the last few years, like I said, from, you know, to be able to concentrate on my own, you know, what I discover. And there are some, you know, dark rabbit holes in this, but what I've managed to do is identify it, and see the light in it, you know, by exposing the story for a start off, realizing that they reset civilization, and we're not all that safe in their hands. So what's the worst thing that can happen is you can die. Well, we're all gonna fucking die anyway. I think it's good to die for a good cause.
Well, if you stay on, and we'll sort out the next episode, and I'll just end this one up. Sure, if everybody could just like, share, and subscribe, and thank you very much. And I'll just get this. Wait a second.
Yeah. Not here to make you happy, not here to make you sad. Your feelings are irrelevant when debates are to be had. The Belfast Bapcast, loud and clear, covering the topics of the sphere, Working overtime to bring you many stories, waking up today the same labor and Tories. A stage it is, and our part to play is bringing you knowledge in this way. No filter, no fuss, just tell unfiltered fact, much like the words on those Christian tracks.